Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, lady doesn't understand how restaurants work, then has a meltdown. Friend's entitled ex begs her to let him move in because he had nowhere else to go. Entitled lady decided to cough on everything. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Lady doesn't understand how restaurants work, then has a meltdown. Little prerequisite: this is a small local hibachi-style restaurant with only 6 grills, and we seat reservations at the time they're set, usually when all parties arrive. A woman made a reservation, and in our books it was displayed as 3 people for $6.15. She walked in, got checked in, then took a seat. She then overheard me and the other host talking about the other $6.15 reservations and immediately got up and snapped. "Eck, do you only have US down for 3 people?" I did not make her reservation, my coworker took it over the phone. Me: "Yes ma'am, is there a problem?" Eck: "No, I said 3 to 6 people for my reservation." Me: "I'm sorry ma'am, but we don't take reservations if uncertain numbers. We can try to work something out and make some space for the extra guests." I called on the phone and said 326, and he, coworker, told me 3 to 6 was put down. I tell her that this isn't possible and I'm unsure how this would happen because our system will physically not let us put in a this many to this many number. We have to enter only set numbers, and my coworker said he heard 3, put down 3, then as usual read the entire reservation information back to her for confirmation, which she then said yup, sounds great, and is now yelling at us over her own mistake. We try to help this woman, so we get a manager, but she is just pissed off. That hostess is so horrible, she was so rude and tried to tell me I am wrong and she's a king BTCH. Basically this lady called me every bad thing ever over the mix up, even though it ended up working out and we got her the grill with 6 seats even though they only ended up having 5 people total. I love the service industry. At moment she started calling you names she would have been denied right to be customer, and to either leave peacefully now, or walked out by force. And instead, the manager just taught her that her behavior is acceptable and that she will get her way the next time she throws a tantrum again. She really doesn't understand reservations. If renting a vehicle, you don't reserve for 3 to 6 days. It's a set amount when you put the reservation in, and typically they charge you additional fees if you return the vehicle beyond the reservation date. Exactly. If you reserve a sports car but need a van, that's your fault, not on Hertz. When I reserve for say 6 people, I might then say there may be only 4 or 5, is that a problem? Usually not, but occasionally they will say please let us know ASAP, so obviously they will move us from a bigger table to a smaller one. Fine with me, my dithering friends are not their problem. I would never go in with a booking for 3 and expect 6 to be seated. If I had been the manager and somebody started calling my hostess or any of my staff names, they wouldn't be getting served in my restaurant. Ever. Okay, your manager sucks. I'm so sorry you had to experience that. My family owned a restaurant for several years. Anyone saying anything derogatory about my staff, I didn't care what they did or who was to blame, got an automatic refusal of service. People are crazy. You never know what they'll say, do, or what they'll come up with. Friend's entitled ex begs her to let him move in because he had nowhere else to go. All names have been changed. My soft-hearted friend Emma finally broke up with the parasite she once called her boyfriend. Kyle has 100 excuses for why everyone else is the problem. His bosses are mean and expect too much of him, like showing up for his shifts. His co-workers create a hostile work environment because they refuse to do his job for him. He's also realized that the people he called friends are not really his friends because they won't refer him for openings at their companies. Kyle thinks that he has really bad luck. At the beginning of this month, one of these friends told him that their living situation is not working out. Kyle needs to find other accommodations by month's end. He did nothing until this week. He had been praying that his friend was a real one who wouldn't really kick him out. However, today his friend asked Kyle if he needed help packing. The month is over in 1 week, you see. In a panic, Kyle called Emma. He begged her to let him stay, all expenses paid by her, until he gets back on his feet. People he thought were friends have shown who they really are and abandoned him. They abandoned him in his hour of need, and for what? Something as pithy as money? Don't remind him that all of his friends hosted him at some point. He not only paid no rent, he expected them to pay his living expenses. They're friends. He would do the same for them. Emma usually has a hard time saying no, but Kyle took advantage of her so badly that she said, "I don't think that's a good idea." She blocked him everywhere, then called her scary sister to tell him off and threaten him away. Poor Kyle. He was turned away by everyone. Abandoned. Forsaken. And they knew he had nowhere to go. His mom's house does not count as somewhere to go. His mom is, in his words, a self-absorbed. A good parent doesn't expect her 37-year-old son to hold down a job and pay rent. A good parent doesn't make him do chores and maintain a level of order in the common areas. A roommate wouldn't even expect this. Dropping the sarcastic tone, I am so proud of Emma for not falling for this. I hope he gets his life in order now, but even if he doesn't, at least it's not my friend's problem. Emma should be very proud of herself. That takes a shiny spine and hers is new. So a 37-year-old entitled man cannot look after himself and expects everyone to put up with him. He needs to grow up. I love the sarcastic bite of your post. And I may not know her, but tell Emma I am proud of her for telling this over-entitled man baby to FK off. That took a spine. And from what I gather, that's a new thing for her. She's awesome. I hope you let her know that. Wow, he is 37. That's so sad. When first reading this, in my head the ages were mid-20s, as that is the sort of age I more expect that behavior to occur at, but 37. He honestly needs to move back in with his mom, who hopefully will teach him how to function as an adult, though I fear it might be too late. Maybe someone needs to offer him a box and blanket and suggest there is a nice bridge he can set up under. Entitled Lady decided to cough on everything. I am a short female who works overnights at a gas station alone 3 to 5 nights of the week. I wear a mask because, to be blunt, people freaking stink. People stink of all kinds of things, and I'm oversensitive to scents. I've had homeless people come in and clearly haven't bathed. Or some older people who smell like a brewery buying more cases of booze. I do not judge, they can buy their booze and lotto all they'd like. They come in with at least a decent attitude and I'll return it, but thankfully I have an awesome manager who knows I can and will throw a bad attitude back in the customer's face when it calls for it. This night just so happened to be one such night. This was a couple weeks back at this point, and I'll admit I'm still ticked at the lady for doing this. It was about 2 a.m. when this skinny short lady comes in. I noticed she has hospital bands on. Not uncommon, as there's one a few blocks away, so this station is likely on her way home. I have a pang of sympathy for her. She's likely exhausted and probably emotionally drained, so I'm expecting to hear her vent and let it go in one ear and out the other, as I've done a few dozen times at this point. Well, no. She notices my mask and begins asking me about it rather accusingly. Why are you wearing a mask? You know those things don't work, right? I immediately decided to just stonewall her, and dropping the customer service voice I sternly said why I wear it isn't of your concern and go about the transaction, ignoring her remarks and a few insults. As I'm grabbing her cigarettes I hear her cough. Now again, she has hospital bands on, so I didn't think anything of it at first. Clearly she's at least semi-sensible and is coughing away from me, right? Nope. She continues to cough, and as I glance over while I'm bagging her items, she is coughing on the card reader and the displays on the counter. She leans to the lotto scanner and coughs more. I'm getting mad at this point but remain silent. It's not until she's leaning over the counter nearly into my face to cough on the register and me that a switch just flips. I grabbed the bottle of disinfectant and just start spraying. I sprayed the counter, the card reader, her purse, the outside of the bag with her items, and even her shirt. I was aware enough to know not to risk spraying her face, but she was still coughing on everything. She moved to the newspaper rack, the drink cooler, even the door looking like a toddler marking territory. She ended it by grabbing a basket display of snacks and chocolate and flinging it across the floor, saying, "Have fun cleaning that up, witch. Just wait till I tell your manager. I'm her friend, you know." Now to admit I had been screaming at this woman to get the EFF out of my store the entire time I was spraying things in her. I was shaking mad and I yelled back, "Do it. Tell her. I'm telling her myself after this." Which I did actually. I texted my manager immediately after she left. I cleaned up the display and wiped down everything she coughed onto careful as I could. I had to take an anti-anxiety to kill the panic attack I had after the anger subsided. Jumping forward to the morning when my manager arrived, I was expecting her to at least be upset as I told her everything I've said above. I was certain I'd at least be written up. Instead, this woman hands me a coffee from Starbucks and goes she was lucky I wasn't in here, and left it at that. Saw her days after and got the chance to point her out to other staff, so now everyone knows she made a bio attack, as we dubbed it on the store. Don't know if she's been back after that though, since she hasn't come overnight again. Does your store have cameras? If so, try to get a picture off of it and print it with a note underneath saying that she gets nothing other than to tell her that she has to leave, and if she does not, you will call the police to have her trespassed. We do have cameras, but I don't have the right permissions to mess with them or print screen caps from the feed. I also realized well after she was gone I should have just called the cops, or if I'd been brave enough to smack the emergency button to get them there faster. The coworker I pointed her out to told her to leave and that we were refusing her service. Haven't heard of her being back since, thankfully. Your boss brought you a coffee after her friend coughed on you. That's hilarious. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.